Hello everyone, today is 2nd of October, now it's 9:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Ugledar and this is my first update for a day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with the breaking news worldwide, which is that Iran conducted large-scale missile strikes on Israel yesterday evening by local time, and reports are that up to 200 missiles were launched by Iran. According to some sources, up to 400 missiles, and significant number of those missiles managed to bypass Israeli air defense systems and hit their targets. This is a moment of launch of this one of the salvos of the missiles from Iran, and this is videos when these missiles landed there. As you can see, Israeli air defense tried to deal with these incoming missiles, but seems like many of those Iranian rockets, Iranian missiles, had some sort of decoys, and therefore it seems like Israeli air defense systems were overwhelmed and not as effective as they usually are against missiles or rockets that are launched by Hamas, for example. Also, reports are coming in that during this strike, Iran deployed hypersonic missiles, which can explain that so many missiles managed to get through Israeli air defense systems, because obviously hypersonic missiles are extremely difficult to intercept. Not impossible, but increasingly difficult. And just look at this, by the way. Dozens of Iranian missiles managed to hit their targets, and reports are that as a result of this airstrike, three Israeli military bases were destroyed. Also, gas offshore platforms were targeted and caught fire as a result of these strikes. And also, Iranian news agency Shafakner, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly name of this news agency, but anyways, one of the Iranian news agencies and then some other outlets also reported that as a result of Iran's missile strike on Israel, some up to 20 Israeli F-35 fifth generation fighter jets were also destroyed. Of course, Israeli officials did not confirm any of this information, and I guess there will be attempt in Israel, in Israeli media, from Israeli leadership, from collective West, to downgrade effectiveness of the Iranian strike. But videos, by the way, there are plenty of videos that demonstrate. Just look at this. You can try to downgrade this effectiveness of this strike as much as you want, but it's on video, right? It's on tape. Arrivals of these Iranian missiles, and Tehran basically stated that this strike was a retaliatory strike from Iran to protect its sovereignty. And also, this strike was a retaliation for Israeli killing of political leader of the Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran a couple of weeks ago. Also, retaliation for killing of Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah a couple of days ago, and also name of General Nil Farouche was mentioned in some media outlets, although Me personally, not really familiar who this general is. Probably he was also killed by Israel during the one of these strikes. Anyways, Iran is claiming that this is retaliatory strike, and if Israel dare to retaliate, then Iran will respond with even bigger force. And Israel is preparing to retaliate. Dear friends, TASS news agency, for example, is reporting that general staff of Israel already stated that on time of their choosing, they will retaliate. So the Israeli military will choose the time to respond to a massive missile attack from Iran. Their offensive potential will bring surprises. This was stated by Chief of the General Staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Hershey Halevi, following an operational meeting convened after the end of the Iranian shelling. Also, this morning, Russian media outlets, including RIA Novosti, reported that Israel may conduct strike on strategical infrastructure of Iran in upcoming days. So Israel may launch strikes on Iran's oil and their other strategic facilities in the coming days in response to a rocket fire, according to Axios portal citing Israeli officials. Israeli officials, they say that Israel will launch a significant retaliatory strike in a few days. Missile attack and its targets may be oil production facilities and other strategic objects. If this happens, Israeli officials say that all options will be considered, including strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. So it's not just some energo facilities of Iran in terms of oil production, but also nuclear facilities are considered as a potential targets by Israeli leadership, which is obviously extremely dangerous. Because first of all, Iran has a number of nuclear facilities, right? Many nuclear facilities. We all remember that Israel twice conducted attacks on nuclear facilities in history. If I remember correctly, once they targeted Syria, where experimental nuclear reactor was destroyed, and they also targeted Iraq's nuclear facility, right? But they had very limited capabilities, Syria and Iraq, when it comes to these nuclear facilities, when it comes to nuclear reactors themselves. It was experimental reactors, while Iran, by the way, has industrial scale of nuclear industry, right? Iran has nuclear power stations. Iran is enriching uranium for it to be used then as a nuclear fuel. At least that's the official narrative why Iran needs these capabilities to enrich uranium. Officially, Tehran never confirmed that they have a military nuclear program. So strikes on Iran's nuclear industry may cause obviously huge disaster, nuclear disaster, not just for the Middle East, but for areas far beyond the Middle East on this planet, because as we know, radiation have not acknowledging any borders, right? And these radioactive particles can be taken by the wind in any directions for thousands and thousands of miles, right? When Chernobyl nuclear catastrophe occurred in Soviet Union, these radioactive particles were taken as far as Norway, right? By the wind. So therefore, of course, all the regional countries And I guess every country in this world should be concerned on these threats from Israel, that they will target Iran's nuclear facilities, although they can, by the way. I have no doubts that they are serious about it. They might do it. No matter how insane it might sound, they might try and do it, right? Which is extremely dangerous, of course. And Iran, according to RIA Novosti's report, for example, already stated that in case of Israeli retaliation, then Iran will unleash even stronger strike on Israel. So let's go through this news here. Iran is ready to take additional defensive measures to protect its interests and sovereignty if necessary. The country's foreign ministry stated the Islamic Republic of Iran, if necessary, is fully prepared to take additional defensive steps to protect its interests and protect their territorial integrity and sovereignty of Iran from any military aggression and illegal use of force. Their message, posted on the Telegram channel of the Iran's foreign ministry, said earlier the Israeli Defense Force published a message in the Tehran channel that in the Telegram channel that since sounds throughout Israel, Iran fired about 400 rockets at Israel, the Jerusalem Post reported. So earlier the Israeli Defense Force published a message in a Telegram channel that sirens sound throughout Israel. Iran fired about 400 rockets at Israel, the Jerusalem Post reported. As I said, dear friends, there are different reports that are contradicting each other on this Iranian strike. Some reports say that Iran launched 180 up to 200 missiles, according to some other reports, about 400 missiles. Obviously, impossible to know. Only several people in Iran's military and political leadership know exactly how many missiles were launched. And right now, dear friends, RIA Novosti is sharing additional information on the topic that Iran prepared their hundreds of missiles that will be used in case if Israel or US will attack Iran. And this information is based on statements of Iran's IRGC. So Iran is also getting ready for possible escalation, next level of escalation from Israel. And unfortunately, as I was saying, by the way, in previous updates, seems like Middle East is getting closer and closer to the regional war. And that's exactly what Western ruling class wanted, because their main task, they don't care about Israel, obviously. They don't care about any country in the Middle East or any citizens of any Middle Eastern country. All they care about is their own geopolitical agenda, their own dominance, and they see China as a major threat, like global South and China as a major competitor on this world. And therefore I believe Western ruling class wants to use their Israeli proxies, Netanyahu and his associates, to escalate, and finally provoke regional war, so that shipping will be shut down in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait. And as a result, China, which is a major importer of their oil energy sources from Middle East, will be cut off from this source, right? And which will be a huge blow for Chinese economy, undoubtedly, for world economy, obviously. But what Western ruling class cares most is to deal some damage to China. That's their main goal, right? And that's why they are provoking this regional war, and that's why Israeli leadership is acting as they do in Gaza, now in Lebanon, and against Syria. And we are receiving this news now from different outlets that Israel is about to target Iran. They will call it retaliatory strike. I mean, this tit for tat can continue for for some time, but eventually, entire region will end up in the war. That's what it is, and that's what Western ruling class wanted from the beginning. So I don't know. Maybe some major powers in this world are outside of collective West, because we know US and UK is under control of Western ruling class, so they will play extremely negative role, as they always do in the Middle East or any other region of this world. But I hope India will get involved and have some talks with the Israeli side and Iran to de-escalate. Brazil, South Africa, although I mean South Africa and Israel are not on good terms right now for obvious reasons, but Brazil may get involved. There are some other countries that can talk to both sides, and maybe they will manage to de-escalate. Otherwise region gonna get Middle East gonna get sunk in the regional war, unfortunately. So let's see how will situation develop. Of course, if any additional update in Russian media on this topic, I will share this additional news on my Telegram and in my second update today, and in headlines, if I manage to record those programs. Yesterday I did, dear friends. Yesterday I went out, I recorded the headlines episode, and I recorded second update. But when I came home, I find out that Iran has launched this missile attack on Israel. So my updates become outdated straight away, because in updates I was talking about report from Axios that Iran might launch missile attack according to sources of the Axios. And when I came home, it was already factual that Iran did launch missiles. Anyways, let's continue now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Hezbollah, Lebanese Hezbollah, stated that they are first time since the escalation between Israel and Lebanon are engaged in ground battles with the IDF in southern Lebanon. Yesterday, some media outlets were denying that Israeli forces are even inside the southern Lebanon, but now we have a confirmation from Hezbollah that there's some ground combat is taking place between Hezbollah forces and Israeli forces. TASS news agency is reporting that IDF declared the mobilization of 4 additional reserve brigades. So Netanyahu's government is clearly has no plans to de-escalate. Not really surprisingly so. Most likely, as I said, dear friends, Western ruling class, out of desperation, will use their proxies, Netanyahu and the rest of their, his camp, to provoke regional war. They will not stop until they will provoke regional war. They want it. They need to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait to cut off China from the energy sources of the Middle East. And they don't care about what this will, how this will affect the world economy. They just don't care about it. It's as simple as that. RT is reporting that US Secretary approved the Lebanon escalation. So the US government quietly approved Israel's military campaign in Lebanon despite publicly urging the Jewish state and the militant group Hezbollah to seek a ceasefire, Politico has reported, citing insider sources. And well, is anybody surprised to hear about this news that behind the closed doors, White House or a State Department is in favor of the Israeli actions and further escalation in the Middle East? Of course, none of us are surprised, at least in our community, because I was talking about this topic for so long, and many members of our community also in the comment section, right? And just now in this program, I said several times that Western ruling class, they want regional war. They are not stopping, unfortunately. They want regional war, and they will use Netanyahu's government as their proxy as much as they can, as long as they can. And I believe it's up to Israeli citizens now to wake up, really, to wake up and see what is going on, because they will be sacrificed also. If they think that they're gonna, be in safe haven while entire region will get destroyed, they are mistaking so much. And just yesterday's Iran's direct strike on Israel clearly demonstrated that if regional war will be provoked, then there will be no safe havens in the Middle East. There will be no safe places in the Middle East for nobody. And definitely Israeli citizens have to wake up and do something about the crazy leadership. Netanyahu and his government, they have to go, man. They have to go until they destroy entire region, not just Israel itself, but the entire region, for the sick geopolitical agenda of the West, right? Western ruling class. Call it some are quite often using this Zionists or whatever. Who the hell are Zionists, by the way? Those are also puppets of the true rulers of the West, right? And they have no care about Israel, by the way. If you think they care about Israel or Israelis, I have Everest Mountain to sell you, man. They don't care about anybody except themselves and their own agendas, right? So Israeli society has to wake up, by the way. If yesterday's Iranian attack was not enough, then I don't know what could be. I don't even know what could be, wake up call. And your friends, I don't know, you might disagree with me, but me personally think Netanyahu's regime is worst for what has happened to Jewish community inside Israel and outside of Israel in last, I don't know, many decades, possibly after Second World War, right? Although obviously during the Second World War there was no Israel, right? It was created after. But for Jewish community, if you ask me, Netanyahu's regime is probably worst what has happened after Second World War, because due to their actions in the Gaza Strip, due to their constant escalation in the region now against Lebanon, although many people are forgetting that Netanyahu's regime is conducting some massive crimes in West Bank also. They are like a runaway train. I mean, this Netanyahu and his associates, they start killing people left and right. It's a craziness what is happening there. It's absolute madness, right? And I don't know if anybody can influence this situation, or at least try, is citizens of Israel. They have to wake up, man. They have to wake up. until it's not too late. They cannot allow their leadership to act this crazy no more, man. This is pure madness, really. What Netanyahu's regime is doing for over a year now, right? For a while, obviously. Let's be clear here. Israel was acting inhumanly against Palestinians and its other neighbors for decades and decades. But some may argue, it was a war there and the neighbors were also not really kind towards Israel. Okay, there's some history there, isn't it? But, after October, after this tragedy when Hamas attacked Israel and significant number of civilians were killed, which should be condemned, obviously, by everybody. Civilians are not combatants. You cannot kill civilians, right? So everybody condemns that. But when it comes to actions of the Netanyahu's regime, when they kill civilians, there are somehow Western world stays quiet. Sometimes you may hear some statements that Israel should act more responsibly and don't kill so many civilians and this and that. But dear friends, it only takes one phone call from White House and all this madness could be stopped, right? But this call never was made. And now entire region is in the brink of their war, which will be total devastation for Israel also. And that's why I'm saying, it is time for Israelis to wake up, man. Now. Not tomorrow, not day after, now. Because they've been sacrificed. They've been used and sacrificed also. And they should see it. TASS news agency is reporting that US will transfer 3 squadrons of the planes to the Middle East in connection with this recent escalation. And, 2 squadrons will be F-16 and F-15 fighter jets, right? But 1 squadron will be A-10 attack planes. So if in case of F-16s and F-15s, some may argue that these planes might be used for interception missions, to intercept any incoming missiles or drones, then what about A-10s? They are not capable of intercepting nothing, right? Maybe if they are lucky, they can shut down helicopter with their world-famous gun. It's a Gatling gun, isn't it, or something like that. But in general, A-10s, US A-10s are like Russian Su-25s. They are ground support aircrafts primarily, and the deployment of a squadron of A-10s to the Middle East can be seen as a clear indicator that Pentagon is preparing for ground operations, for some large-scale military operations, most likely against Lebanon or maybe against Iran. Maybe against Iran. I don't know, but this is this information definitely not brings any more optimism to anybody, I guess, who don't want to see any further escalation in the Middle East. TASS news agency is also reporting that Russian Foreign Ministry condemned Israeli attacks on Lebanon and called for immediate withdrawal of Israeli forces from this country, from Lebanon. Obviously, Netanyahu's government not gonna listen to Moscow, but that's the official position of the Russian TASS news agency is also reporting that Rosaviation recommended to Russian air carriers to delay its flights, or to stop basically its flights towards Israel, Iran, and Iraq. Also, reports are that some number of other countries also were mentioned in this recommendation. All Middle Eastern countries, which is understandable. Region is on the brink of the war, so for safety reason, probably it's not just Rosaviation, but many other countries worldwide also probably recommending their carriers to postpone races towards the Middle Eastern countries. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice if I made that this small media project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram is completely subscriber funded. And if you like my work, if you think my channels deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with a donation through PayPal or Boosty platform. And now on the screen you see Boosty platform, dear friends, which you can use for donations or for tips. And also you can subscribe to my Boosty platform, because I have quite a number of extra content here. I publish on Boosty all the videos that I publish on my Patreon page, which is much more developed, obviously. So yes, you can also subscribe to my Patreon. And if you are good with crypto, by the way, I have a crypto wallet, so that might be useful also. So all the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who supported and continues to support my work. Thank you very much. That's being said, let's continue with some more news now, and let's move from Middle East towards Europe and their zone of special military operation. According to Vzlyad newspaper, Russian Defense Ministry confirmed yesterday that Russian militaries liberated settlements of Vishnyovo in Kharkov region, and also Krutoy Yar in DPR. I reported about Krutoy Yar a couple of days ago, but liberation of Vishnyovo, I'm not quite sure if I reported about it or no previously. But Defense Ministry is confirming that these settlements are under full Russian control now. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that Russian armed forces establish control over the central parts of Ugledar. And yesterday afternoon, I shared on my Telegram channel this video when Russian militaries are raising flag over the administrative building in Ugledar. And this morning, dear friends, yesterday late evening and this morning, reports are coming in that Russian troops established full control over the Ugledar. Although I'm a bit skeptical of these reports, let's see if Russian Defense Ministry will officially confirm this information, because earlier we had reports that this garnison was trapped, Kiev regime's garnison in Ugledar was trapped, right, encircled, and they had no chance to break through from the city. And if entire town now is under full Russian control, then question is, where are those 1,000 or 1,500 members of this garnison of the Ugledar? Or some are reporting that there was even 2,000 military personnel of Kiev regime in that city, majority from 72nd Brigade. So where these people went? I didn't see any reports that they managed to break through encirclement. I didn't see reports about mass surrenderings. So then question is, where these people are, right? So probably they are concentrated on the northern parts of the Ugledar somewhere. And maybe they tried previous night to break out. Now it's just 10 o'clock in the morning, and for now I didn't see any reports about that. But it is possibility that they might try previous night to break out of this encirclement, or maybe they're still there, and I don't know, hoping for God knows what, man. Best they can do is lay down arms and surrender, and I'm quite sure Russian side will offer them safe ways to surrender, and they will be treated according to Geneva Convention. So, I mean, that's what they should do. But when it comes to these reports about Ugledar being under full Russian control already, I'm a little bit skeptical. I want this news to be true, by the way, obviously. But I just have a question: where this 1,500 or 2,000 military personnel of the regime disappeared? I mean, if entire city is liberated, right? So, we need some more time. We need some more time. Maybe there will be some clarifications on this topic during the day. Maybe some managed to escape from Ugledar. Maybe during the night, some significant number of regime's troops surrendered, and information did not yet reach Russian media. It is possibility. So let's see. But but latest information that I have no doubts about, that I see in the media, is this one, that Russian forces established control over the central parts of Ugledar. Earlier, Russian troops established control over their southern, eastern, and southern western parts, and this is factual information because there are videos, right? Excuse me, dear friends. As you know, I got flu, so I don't really never mind. So yes, let's continue. So TASS news agency is reporting that English-speaking group of foreign mercenaries were ambushed in a criminal area by Russian forces and almost completely destroyed there, almost because, according to this report, several members of this unit managed to escape to forest and hide there. Maybe they were caught eventually by Russian troops. Most likely that's the case. But what is interesting, I think it is at least theoretically possibility that some of the members of this English-speaking foreign mercenaries group, at least some members, were caught alive. And if that's the case, then in upcoming days probably we will see videos of interrogations of these foreign mercenaries, and I wonder what they will say. Are they connected with their NATO forces or not? If yes, in which ways? There are many questions that everybody would like to have answers, isn't it? About connections of these foreign mercenaries and the NATO and the NATO member states armed forces. So interesting news. Let's see if we will receive any updates on this topic. And when it comes to this group, I mean, according to Russian side, it's English speaking group, and well, there is only several countries in this world, isn't it, that are mainly English speaking, like US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and some may argue Canada, although Canada has 2 state languages, isn't it? Or maybe languages of indigenous people also are state languages. I don't know about that, but French and English definitely are languages that are often used in Canada, isn't it? So I don't know if Canada counts for 100% English speaking. I don't know about that, but yes, there is only a few countries, right, that primarily speak English, and these mercenaries probably were from these countries. I don't think a group of German mercenaries will necessarily speak in with each other in English, right? It's just not convenient, obviously. So let's see if any additional news on that topic. Also, dear friends, also very important developments are happening in the Kyiv regime itself, because according to this news, and let me read it for you, seems like more and more Kyiv regime is more and more open for idea of seizing their territories in favor of peace. At least that's what Western media is reporting about it, Financial Times in this particular case. So according to Western diplomats, the new foreign minister of Ukraine, Andrei Sybiga, discussed potential compromise solutions during the meeting with their colleagues during a trip to United States. He took a more pragmatic stance on the possibility of land for security negotiations, writes the Financial Times. It is not specified what specific settlement options were discussed. We are increasingly open about how this will end and what Ukraine will have to give up in order to get a permanent peace agreement. And this is a major change from what it was 6 months ago, when such a conversation was taboo, said one of the diplomats present in New York. So, well, this is huge, actually. This is huge. If Western media is now pushing this narrative that, well, Kyiv regime is ready now for talks and are more open to objective reality, then that means that Western ruling class is now ready for talks and are more open for objective reality, right? Because we'll understand Kyiv regime don't make any decisions on peace and war topics, right? It's Washington and London. So that's why this article in Financial Times is interesting. And who knows, maybe in relatively short time, once Western ruling class will finally realize that they lost this proxy war against Russia, they will settle for a peace agreement, maybe. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stated that he wants to have a phone conversation with Russian President Putin before upcoming G20 summit that should take place in Brazil, I believe. And well, Scholz earlier also stated quite a number of times that he wants to have a conversation with the Russian president, but last time they talked was 2022 or something, right? And since then, there was no talks between the two. And right now, if you ask me, I cannot tell you why should Russian president spend any time by talking to this puppet of the Washington and the London. I mean, what is the point? If Russian president wants to hear position of US leadership on anything, then it makes more sense to have a conversation with the representative of the US administration, right? Because they are also in charge of this Scholz's puppet regime, right? In Germany. So therefore, I mean, who the hell is Scholz to spend time on him? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not really a diplomatic gesture to say, you know what, just get lost. You know, maybe on top level of politics, it's not coming to act that way, but I truly don't understand why on earth anybody should spend any time talking to this clown, man. Well, who the hell is Scholz, man? I mean, really. Who is he? Some dirty prostitute, right, of the CIA. That's all. I mean, literally, dirty prostitute of the CIA. That's what Scholz is. That's it, really. TASS news agency is reporting that another disgraceful individual that was formerly in charge of NATO member state, Mark Rutte, former Prime Minister of Netherlands, took position of the head, Secretary General of NATO yesterday, and on very first day, you guess what kind of statements he made. He stated that NATO is supporting long-range strikes deep inside Russia, and he stated that NATO is in full support of Kiev regime as long as it takes, and all their usual nonsense and madness that we hear from Brussels time after time after time. Yesterday on my Telegram, I see comment that one of the members of our community from Netherlands said that he is happy that Rutte is in charge of NATO now because he destroyed the Netherlands economy, and most likely he will destroy NATO also. And that's quite a good way to look at this situation. NATO is obviously, has no purpose. NATO was created against Soviet Union and later against Warsaw Pact when Warsaw Pact was created. And they are no longer Soviet Union or Warsaw Pact, right? So there is no need in existence of this organization, NATO, right? Because this is a military organization. If they have no enemies, they will create one, because that's what they do, right? They need their enemy, otherwise, how are they going to justify existence of this organization, right? So yes, Rutte, this disgusting individual, is threatening Russia. Okay. Let's see how far you will go, dirty bitch. RT is reporting that Biden could speed up Ukraine's NATO bid, according to Financial Times. So US President Joe Biden could expedite the status of Ukraine's bid to join NATO before his term expires in January. The Financial Times reports on Tuesday Moscow has insisted that Kiev must abandon its plans to join the US-led military bloc before any peace negotiations can start. There are tentative signs that Biden might agree to advance the status of Ukraine's NATO membership bid before he leaves office, the Financial Times wrote, citing Western officials briefed on the Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky's talks in Washington last week. And also, dear friends, some Western propaganda outlets reported that very same Biden, formerly Biden, in reality, whoever is pulling the strings in US and in collective West in general, they are planning kind of to lift any restrictions on strikes on Russia by NATO before, after presidential elections in US and before inauguration. So maybe that's the also case. Although Moscow was from Moscow, it does not make any difference. This will happen today or tomorrow or day after. Russian leadership was very clear. Any attacks with NATO weapons on Russia will be seen. With NATO long-range weapons on Russia will be seen as a direct attack of NATO members on Russia, and there will be retaliatory steps. And if world is shocked to see Iranian strikes on Israel right now, then can you imagine how level of shock when Russia will finally start retaliating? Can you imagine how that will look? So Western ruling class, if they are not completely suicidal, they should think about their future, because they might have no future. One wrong move and they might just have no future at all, any future. RT is reporting that, well, dear friends, I shared this video on my Telegram also. So this is a video that US published, I believe, US military. So US military on Monday complained about run-in with the Russian aircraft above neutral waters of Alaska, off the coast of Alaska, accusing Russian Su-25s of unprofessional conduct. The incident occurred on September 23rd. The head of the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, General Grigory Gulot, revealed in a statement when the US aircraft was scrambled to intercept Russian military planes off the coast of Alaska. And when this is the video, by the way, on here you can see Russian Tu-95 strategical bomber, which was escorted by Su-35s, and well, this video is made from F-16, US F-16, and at some point, well, Russian Su-35 conducted maneuver that well, scared the hell out of this US pilot. Their audio also, by the way, and you can hear some emotions there. And well, what can I say? This is not necessarily a safe way to deal with these situations, not the safest one. But I guess Russian pilot of Su-35 was in control of the situation, and he just messed around a bit without risking too much of collision with a US plane or something like that. Although obviously I cannot call this extremely safe way to deal with their situation. And in general, I don't want to see any I want to see the escalation between Russia and US, dear friends. And this type, it might be, I mean, it looks cool, yes, all that kind of stuff, but it's a risky, and I don't think these kind of actions really help anybody. And if you ask me, I mean, it is in best interests of citizens of Russia. It is in best interests of citizens of US. It is in best interest of citizens of other NATO member states if relationships between them and Russia will get at least little better and would not be this hostile, right? Because we are not enemies, for God's sake, and we should never see each other as enemies, and and therefore, you know, if it was up to me, I will call for more cautiousness, in any ways, and in every ways. But yet again, if you are looking for a video, and you know, when you know that these are professionals, by the way, these are not some amateur pilots, right? These are professionals, and time to time, even during the Soviet era, by the way, fighter pilots of Soviet Union and their NATO member states were, you know, playing with each other these games. So it's usual stuff. It's nothing extraordinary or extremely dangerous, although it is not extremely safe either, of course. But as I said, I would prefer Russian and US militaries to meet each other in less tense times, let's say this way. And there are a few more news, dear friends, few more news on topic of aviation. We have TASS news agencies report that right now only 19% of their civilian aircraft in Russia is domestically built, which is an extremely low number if you ask me. Unfortunately, after collapse of Soviet Union, Russian industry that was building these great planes, by the way, during the Soviet era, had experienced significant, downfall, extreme difficulties. And last couple of decades, there was heavy investments in the sector to revive industry, and significant progress was made in this direction. And hopefully in 20-30 years time, majority of the park of the Russian carriers will be Russian planes. But for now it's only 90%, and for 2027 this number may reach only 25%. Yet again, Boeing and Airbus, they are dominant forces on the market, isn't it? It's just obvious. And it will take some time, of course, for Russian aviation industry to increase level of production so much so that at least in 2-3 decades, number of domestic planes in the fleet, civilian fleet here in Russia, will reach 50, maybe 60%. But situation is exactly the opposite in helicopter aviation. For example, 88% of the helicopters are domestically built, right? Among all the helicopters in Russia, 88.3% is domestically built, and this number will reach 88.7% for 2027. So I guess this is the maximum number, 88, maybe 90%, because obviously there are some types of helicopters that Russia is just not producing, especially light helicopters. And here in Russia, these light helicopters are quite popular among some businessmen for some tourist trips and stuff. And until Russian companies will start producing this relatively new type of helicopters for their domestic market, I guess this number will be the same, unchanged much, some 88, 89, 90%, but it's a good number, by the way. So ideally, fleet of Russian aircraft should be also about 60, maybe 70%. That would be good, because obviously Airbus and Boeing, although I'm not quite sure about Boeing, but Airbus, it seems like is not going anywhere from the market. And to end this program, dear friends, I will share with you this news that Russia's richest see big surge in their wealth, according to Bloomberg. So their combined net worth of Russian wealthiest people has jumped by $31 billion since the start of this year, despite the unprecedented sanctions pressure, according to a Bloomberg Billionaires Index. A total of 25 Russian billionaires are listed in the ranking of the world's 500 richest people as of September 30, and Vladimir Potanin, who is ranks 56 in this list of richest 500 people, his net worth is 32.6 billion now, and it increased 1.57 billion this since the beginning of this year alone. And second richest man in Russia is Vladimir Lysin, the chairman of the LNMK, Russia's largest steel maker. The businessman added 4.27 billion to his wealth this year, and his overall net worth is 28.2 billion. On third place is Vagit Alekperov, the former boss of Russia's energy giant Lukoil, in which he still owns a larger chunk of the shares. His net worth is 27.5 billion, and list goes on and on. So overall, these Russian billionaires and multimillionaires get richer for another 31 billion. Okay, good for them, as long as they make their money legally, and as long as they pay their share of taxes, then I have no issue with that. More rich people means more investments in economy, and more investments mean more opportunities for us, for ordinary people, right? So therefore, it's a good news, good news. So question is how these people get rich in 90s. I mean, that's a whole different story, right? But right now, all these oligarchs from 90s, they transform their into they legalize their businesses completely, or mainly completely. They transfer themselves into businessmen, really. So therefore, if investigating committee has no questions, then okay, I have no issues with the rich people getting richer, as long as they pay their share of taxes. Okay, as long as they are not messing around with their social fabric and with their politics, because that should be the red line. If you are a businessman, do your business and stay out of politics, because those businessmen, they become billionaires because of their love for money, not because of their love for a country or for people. Because if they care about people that much, they would not become billionaires. Most likely, they will make money. They will live for themselves, for their families are enough, and the rest of it will be invested into some schools, into this and that, to help people to So anyways, this is the news, dear friends. Despite all the sanctions and the rest of it, well, Russian richest get even richer. Okay. As you can see, dear friends, I'm not really, I don't like billionaires in general. I don't think it is possible that decent human being can become a billionaire. I just don't think so. Because you don't need billion. I mean, if someone give me billion right now, and I want to believe that even though no one is perfect, I want to believe that I'm okay human being, and I want to be a good human being. I want to live life of the good human being, and if someone just give me billion, I mean, how much do I need really to secure my family? I don't know, couple of millions are, I mean, way enough, right? I can buy home, I can allocate some funds for my kids, so when they will grow up, they will have some basement on which they can some safety cushion, or they can build their own business. I might start some business myself, some small business, and the rest of the money, I mean, I can help relatives, obviously, and the rest of the money, I don't know, I'll give it to charity, right? Because why on earth I need hundreds of millions of dollars, man? What I'm gonna do with it, right? I just don't need it. So therefore, when I hear, I mean, these people are worth so many billions and billions, I mean, really, you're gonna die one day, right? And you're not gonna take those billions with you. You're not gonna need it there. So What the hell, man? Just do some kind stuff, man. Be kind to people. You don't fucking need those money, right? That many, man. Anyways, you know, I have my negative attitude towards banking system, towards bankers, towards oligarchs, billionaires, and that kind of garbage individuals. It's always because maybe because you know, I'm from Soviet Union and I see 90s how these rich people become rich. Maybe that's why I have this negative attitude towards them. But anyways, as I said, as long as they pay, I talk too much about this topic, man. As long as they pay their share of taxes, and if they make money now, at least legally, then okay, who cares? And this is it for now. This is it for now. Relatively long update, but hopefully you will find it interesting, informative, entertaining, maybe. That would be cool. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything. This is the only way we can at least try and influence algorithm, especially on YouTube. Yes, this is it. If you like my work, if you want to support, you can do it. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.